Hey everyone, I am back and I'm doing a solo quickie act for you today. Today I want to jam about the idea of stagnation. So no matter where you're at on your journey into thought leadership and entrepreneurship and leadership, I'm sure that you have been through a period of stagnation, or perhaps you find yourself in one right now. What this feels like is you feel stuck. You feel as though your creative juices are tapped. You feel a lack of motivation or inspiration. You feel blocked from taking action. These are things that come up on this journey. It's normal for these things to come up, but why do they come up? And what is the opportunity within these moments? So, as human beings, we are taught that everything happens in this sort of like linear cycle. You know, we think of time, time is linear, our calendars are linear. Schooling system is very linear. You know, you start in kindergarten, you go into senior grade 12, you go into college, university, whatever it is. Everything is very, very linear and structured. And we're not used to taking up space in the way of expansion. We're used to the idea of moving forward, of rising up. But what about the horizontal space that exists? Because we live in a three-dimensional space. We don't live in a world that is two-dimensional. And as these multidimensional beings, we're not here to live a two-dimensional life. So when you have these periods of stagnation, when you have these periods of feeling stuck, know that stagnation is simply an opportunity for expansion. And I'm going to say that again. Stagnation is an opportunity for expansion. So I want to share a personal story with you just to drive this home. So when I first started this business in 2014, I started as a self-love coach. And at that point in time, when I first began, it felt right. You know, it felt aligned. It felt like the thing that I could drop myself into, and it just worked. And it did work. You know, I was working my ass off to make it work, but it worked. I had clients, things were going well. I had this Facebook group that was growing organically. Like, stuff was happening. I was getting interviews on podcasts, like things were happening. And then I reached this point about a year and a half later where I knew this wasn't right. Like, this is no longer aligned with who I am, because so much of me had already expanded in my personal life, right? We tend to separate the two containers, professional and personal, when really they overlap. They're one and the same many of the times. So for me in my personal life, I was expanding so much that working as a self-love coach, working as a life coach who specialized in self-love no longer fit. And so I experienced this period of stagnation where I stopped posting in my Facebook group. You know, something that people freak out if they don't do. I didn't want to post on anything. I really didn't want to take on any more clients. Things just weren't flowing. I wasn't downloading ideas as quickly as I used to. I didn't know what to write about. And I felt really stuck. It's like when you're spinning your wheels, but not moving anywhere. That's what I felt like. And I took that as an opportunity to go inwards, right? So when we reach these places of stagnation, so often we're taught to move outside of ourselves. Like, what is it that you're going to do now externally to get yourself moving again? What are you going to do outside of yourself to feel that momentum again? You know, I call it the Gary Vee mentality. It's like the doing. And I gravitate towards this, guys. Like, this is my natural vibe, is like I gravitate towards Gary Vee. I am a doer. I am an action taker. I am someone who will do whatever the fuck it takes to get what I want. But in this moment, it just didn't feel right because I didn't even know what the fuck I wanted. I didn't know what I wanted to transition into. I didn't know what I wanted it to feel like. And so there wasn't really this opportunity for me to go outside of myself to create something because I didn't know what the fuck I wanted to create. So I was keeping myself stuck in this place of stagnation. And I remember like just feeling my soul calling, feeling this call to go inwards, feeling this call to dive deeper into myself. And this is expansion. This is what I'm talking about, right? The action taking is the linear movement. It's like, if I do this, I'm going to achieve this, right? So it's step one, you get to step two. That's the linear belief that we have been programmed with. Whereas the inner work, which I like to call deep work, the inner work is the expansion piece. That's about you taking up space. This isn't about you moving forward or moving upwards. It's about you taking up space where you're at and really diving deep to get to know who you are in that very moment, what it is that you need, what it is that you want, what it is that you desire. This is about you fulfilling your needs spiritually, emotionally, mentally. And I took that time and I gave myself space to do that. I gave myself space to expand. And that evolved into a big launch in my own personal and spiritual growth. That was me diving deeper into myself and my identity work and who I am so that I could gain clarity on what it is that I'm here to do. And this is the stuff that so often people don't do. And maybe this is you. Maybe this is something that you've been avoiding because it's fucking tough. You know, people talk about personal growth and spiritual growth like it's this beautiful thing, you know, lotus growing out of the fucking mud. And let me tell you, it's like you're stuck in the mud for a long time and you're just like trying to get out. That's what personal growth feels like. And it's hard to breathe sometimes because you're facing your shadows, you're facing your demons, you're facing all the bullshit that you have been holding yourself back with. You're facing all the shit that you've been fucking avoiding for so long. But let me tell you, that's the shit that is holding you back from rising even higher. That's the shit that is holding you back from being seen the way you want to be seen. That's the shit that's holding you back from being acknowledged and finding that significance in the world, because your internal blocks are going to stunt your growth externally, right? We cannot always rely on doing things externally to achieve what we want to achieve. At some point in time, you need to expand internally to match the frequency of what it is that you're going after. You know, and so when you feel this period of stagnation, remember it's an opportunity for expansion. So for me, what that led into was this beautiful, like, well, I say beautiful now because I look back and it was beautiful. But when I was in it, it was really fucking ugly, to be honest. This ugly but beautiful transition. And it was probably like another year and a half of me going through this, of me trying different things, of me really diving deeper and being willing to do that work with my coach, who was amazing he was amazing at helping me face my shadows with whatever was coming my way. And really, instead of gravitating towards like, okay, I'm going to do this to get through this, it was like, what can I go deeper on within myself to expand my world externally? Like, how can I expand myself on an internal level to expand what's going on internally? So when you are in this space of stagnation, if you feel stuck, if you feel like there's no momentum, if you feel like there's no motivation, rather than trying to run out and invest in the next program or invest in the next best thing or read the book and apply the tools, you have to understand that if you don't expand internally, there is no fucking way in hell that you're going to be able to apply any of the tools that you learn or integrate anything that you learn, because it's your own shit that's keeping you stuck. So stop looking at your life and your mission and your career as this really linear thing, because it's not linear, my friends. It's not linear. It is so much more than that. It's so much greater than that. It is expansive. So as much as you want to rise up and move forward, you also want to put in just as much effort to expand and take up space within each ripple of time. Because again, we are three-dimensional beings living in a three-dimensional world. This isn't just about moving from point A to point B. This is about widening your depth. So if you are in a place of stagnation, if you feel as though you're not motivated and you're not getting hits of inspiration, use this as an opportunity for expansion. And I'm going to offer you some tips on how to do that, because I'm sure a lot of you listening are like, okay, Ruby, this is great, but how the fuck do I expand? Okay, so what this looks like is the word itself, expansion, is very much like taking up space, right? You're moving in this. If you take a visualization, it's almost like rising up and moving forward is kind of vertical, and expansion is horizontal. So this is about you creating space in your life for the expansion work to even take place. So if your schedule is already filled to the brim, then there's no way that you're going to have space to dive deep and do the inner work or the deep work. So you need to first create space for yourself. So start saying yes to only things that are a fuck yes. If something is not a fuck yes, and I mean like a real, true fuck yes, this is aligned with everything I want. If it's not that, then say no. That is the easiest way that you can begin creating space for yourself. Number 2, start being better at managing your time, right? So if you need to get something done, give yourself a time block. And just like you give yourself a time block for that, take a time block for your expansion work. Now, the expansion work itself, what it looks like, there are many different avenues you can take, and different things work for different people. So I'm not someone who's going to say, that you need to visualize or you need to journal. It's like whatever is your modality, the one that speaks to you. So you want to take time to sit in silence every day. So whether that's through meditation, visualization, journaling, you want to sit in silence. And you can do all three. I like doing a mix of all three. I meditate every morning, and I also take time to visualize, whether it's at the end of my meditation or during my meditation. And then journaling is really a tool for you to just like dive deeper. So sometimes what I do to prompt myself, because I'm not one of those people that just drops into automatic writing. I need prompts. So I'll write a prompt at the top of the page. So sometimes it'll be, what am I letting go of today? And I'll just journal on that. Sometimes it'll be, what am I stepping into today? And I'll journal on that. Sometimes it'll be, what do I desire the most today? And I'll jump into that. And these are ways for you to just dive deeper by quieting the chatter that you're so used to telling yourself, the doer in you. This is all about quieting the doer, the one that's telling you, oh, go do this, or you have to take action on this, or you have to do this thing and achieve this goal. You want to quiet that, and you want to listen more to that voice within you that's saying, this is what I need right now. You want to tap into that voice through any modality that works through you. But first, you have to create the time and space to do so. So create the time and space to do that, and then get into a habit. And try this out, guys. Try this out for just 2 weeks. And I say 2 weeks because 1 week is not enough. 30 days might feel overwhelming for you guys. So let's try 2 weeks, 14 days. Make the commitment to sit in silence every single day and do it for a minimum of 10 minutes per day, just to sit with your thoughts, just to sit in meditation, to sit in visualization, to sit and journal, just to start getting in the habit of tuning into your inner voice and not the doer in you. This is going to create the opening for you to begin to expand. Second, what you want to do is, once you've created the space to expand, once you've gotten into this habit of being quiet and sitting with your thoughts and being still, then you want to ask yourself, well, what are some of the things that I need to nurture my soul, to nourish my soul? So whether that's hiring a coach, not a business coach, people, whether it's hiring a coach, or talking to your friends, or sharing in your masterminds, stuff that's not just business related, but personal related, like what's really coming up for you personally. So for me, when I was going through that transition in my coaching business, I went from self-love coaching to more like empowerment coaching to now really coaching the new generation of thought leaders. It was an evolution, but it was an evolution of myself. And that's what I realized for me was I need my work, my mission to be 100% aligned with who I'm at. And that was what the misalignment was the issue. That was what was coming up for me. So I needed to address that misalignment. I needed to be aware of it, and I needed to do work around it. So this is really about giving yourself an outlet to talk about what's really going on for you, not your business, not your goals, not the shit that you need to get done, but for you personally. Because at the end of the day, your mission is you. You are the foundation for your mission. So if you don't have your shit together, if you are not expanded to a frequency that can hold the full capacity of your mission, the mission's not going to happen. So 1, create the space and be still and honor what's coming up for you. And then 2, find an outlet, whether it's a coach, your mastermind group, friends that you can talk to, but just start getting in the habit of talking about things that are personal versus just the professional shit. That's how you can start kickstarting your expansion game. But once you get into the habit of it, I promise you, you are going to see results in your professional life. It is impossible to expand personally and not reap the benefits in every other area of your life, your relationships, your business, your mission. It's impossible. If you start to expand personally, every other facet of your life is going to expand. And that's why I say, like, once you get in the habit of it, it's going to be a lifelong habit. Like for me, my personal expansion, the time that I set aside for myself every single morning. I mean, I wake up at 5, guys. I wake up at 5 and I don't start work until about 9:15 in the morning. My mornings are dedicated to me because that is my personal expansion time. That is how I take care of myself. That is how I fill my cup. That is how I get ready to face the day. And if you are truly here, and I'm going to bring this home now, if you are truly here to be a thought leader, to be someone who rises up, stands out, and create impact, if you are here to positively influence the world or influence the world with your ideas and your thoughts, let me tell you, your personal expansion, the work that you do around that, is your biggest fucking responsibility. Because if you are not taking responsibility for your own growth, then you are not showing up as powerfully as you could for your mission, for your tribe, for your people. You're just not, because you are not expanded into your fullest potential. So to cap things off, guys, stagnation is an opportunity for expansion. So if you're experiencing stagnation right now, just take 14 days to do what I just suggested and really dive deep and be willing to face your shadows, your demons, the shit that's coming up for you. Because if you don't face that shit, if you don't work through that shit, it is going to have a negative impact on all the work that you're doing. So that's it. That's all. If you dig this episode, please share it with a friend and don't forget to hit subscribe. I want to thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of Love Punch, where I'm challenging thought leaders, influencers, and entrepreneurs like you to make a lasting impact. And please, if you dig the Love Punch podcast, drop a review on iTunes. I would truly appreciate that. If you have any questions about this episode or you just want to say hi, please do reach out to me on social. I am very social on social media. My handle is at @IamRuby. I will see you here next week for a brand new episode of Love Punch.